Disgraced music producer Phil Spector died on January 17th of COVID-19 in prison at 81 years of age. Phil Spector is considered by many in the music industry to be one of the most influential music producers of the modern pop rock era. He is a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, a Grammy Award winner, and he is a convicted murderer. I would be lying if I didn't admit to the enormous amount of music that Phil Spector has produced that is deeply embedded into not just my musical DNA, but the musical DNA of music fans, musicians, and music industry professionals around the world. And I would be lying if I didn't admit to the enormous amount of influence that Phil Spector has had on how records are recorded, even to this day. Artists like Brian Wilson and Bruce Springsteen have acknowledged his influence, and so have other well-regarded music producers like Brian Eno and Tony Visconti. Some of his work includes music classics like "Da Do Run Run" and "Then He Kissed Me" by the Crystals, "Be My Baby" and "Walking in the Rain" by the Ronettes, "You've Lost That Lovin' Feelin' and "Unchained Melody" by the Righteous Brothers, "The Long and Winding Road" and "Let It Be" by the Beatles, "Rock and Roll High School" and "Baby I Love You" by the Ramones. Normally I would begin these videos by saying that the music industry and the world of music has suffered a great loss. But in the case of Phil Spector, the music industry and the world of music suffered that great loss in 2003, when Phil Spector murdered actress Lana Clarkson. Of course, that loss is nothing compared to the loss endured by the friends and family of Lana Clarkson. Phil Spector was a very talented, but very flawed individual. Scores of music industry professionals considered his work in the studio to be genius, and it would seem that sometimes musical and artistic genius does walk hand in hand with a certain amount of flawed human darkness. Most musical geniuses of this type find ways to channel that darkness into more productive pursuits. I guess you could say that Phil Spector tried to do that too. But Phil Spector crossed a line that similar musical genius has steered clear of, and in doing so, disgraced his personal legacy forever. But one thing he can't disgrace is the legendary music that he helped make legendary. I can't honor Phil Spector the man on his passing, but I can honor the music that he collaborated on. Phil Spector revolutionized how we record music and the role of record producer. But he was one component after all. The artists he recorded, the songwriters who wrote the songs, and the musicians who played on the recordings were also part of the process as well. And their work should not be dragged down into the same mud pile that Phil Spector dragged himself down into. So while I can't honor the man, I can honor the music.